Hello, Ghost Traders. My name is Angelique with GhosTrades, and it's time for your market update. The market took a bit of a breather this week after hitting one high after another since the beginning of May, and technically has been going up for the last 4 weeks, although it had a couple hiccups in the beginning. However, the big question is, how is the market at new highs when so many can't pay their bills? The macroeconomics are a mess. The national debt is still adding $1 trillion every 100 days. The dollar's quickly heading south and inflation is skyrocketing. While yes, you need to understand what's going on and why, this is nothing we haven't seen before. Remember, the Fed, who, by the way, is as federal as Federal Express, simply adds more zeros to the equation and prints whatever it feels that it needs to make everything look good. Meanwhile, as you can feel in your wallets, inflation goes up while our purchasing power goes down. While some are trying to say that there will be a couple rates cuts this year, others prove there's no chance of it happening. And while the market does pay attention to the talk of potential Fed rate cuts and inflation for short-term reactions, we must remember to stick with the trend. Now, on the political front, the biggest news at the moment is President Trump's Manhattan trial, which is scheduled to hear closing arguments on Tuesday of the coming week. So the jury may actually reach the verdict next week. It'll be interesting to watch the reactions whenever that happens, no matter how it comes out. Now, as for last week, we had the Fed speaking Monday and Tuesday, while the numbers on Wednesday, neither existing home sales for April nor crude oil inventories hit their mark. The FOMC meeting minutes also came out on Wednesday, and they're not confident they'll be cutting interest rates. What a surprise. They voted unanimously to keep short-term benchmark borrowing rate in the range of 5.25% to 5.5%, which is unchanged since July of 2023. Thursday brought us initial jobless claims as well as U.S. manufacturing PMI and services PMI, both for May, came in higher. Now, additionally, new home sales came in at 634,000 instead of the forecasted 677,000. Finally, on Friday, both durable goods orders month over month for April and the consumer sentiment numbers also came in better than expected. Now, don't forget that next week is Monday, Memorial Day, so the market is closed in observance for that. Now, on Tuesday, the Minneapolis Fed President Neil Kashkari is speaking in the morning. And while he's speaking, the Conference Board's consumer confidence numbers will also come out. Then in the afternoon, FOMC member Cook will be speaking, and Wednesday brings us FOMC's John Williams, the current economic conditions from the Fed's Beige Book, and finally, Atlanta's Raphael Bostic will speak in the evening hours. Thursday, we need to pay attention to the prelim GDP numbers quarter over quarter for Q1 and the initial jobless claims before the market opens, and then pending home sales after the market opens. New York's John Williams will speak at lunchtime, and Dallas's Lori Logan will speak in the early evening. Finally, on Friday, it's all about numbers with PCE price index month over month and year over year, as well as personal income and personal spending. All of those for April, and that will take place before the market opens. Don't forget, however, Raphael Bostic will speak again before the week's out, and he will be delivering a commencement speech at Augusta Technical College. Now, last week's earnings brought us AutoZone bringing in better than expected numbers, and Lowe's, who topped both quarterly earnings and revenue expectations. On Wednesday, Target missed first quarter earnings expectations, while TJX, which is stores like TJ Maxx and Marshall's, as well as NVIDIA, all beat their estimated numbers. Now, NVIDIA didn't just beat their numbers. They actually rallied hard and traded over $1,000 for the first time in after-hours trading due to reporting fiscal first quarter earnings that beat the analyst estimates. They also reported a 262% jump in sales and announced a 10-for-1 stock split. Future looks very bright for NVIDIA and for AI overall. Now, Thursday, we're watching Intuit, Ross Stores, Ralph Lauren, and Medtronic. They all came in better than expected. And Medtronic, by the way, ticker MDT, they're kind of doing some pretty interesting things with AI in relation to medical tech. Something, again, to keep an eye on. And a side note, speaking of AI, Alexa is now getting an AI upgrade, something I won't have in my house, but it will be interesting to watch nonetheless. Next week, earnings isn't too busy, but it will bring us Advanced Auto, Salesforce, and HP on Wednesday, and Best Buy, Costco, Dollar General, and Ulta on Thursday. And the market update would not be complete without looking at silver and gold. Now, silver was as high as 32.51, but pulled back and closed the week at 30.36. Gold hit an all-time high on Monday and closed the week at 2334 even. Now, I always say it's a good idea to have metals in your portfolio. Again, the real stuff you can hold in your hand. But with so much emphasis these days on silver, gold, and others, it's important not to ignore how these metals are sourced. Obviously, we mine for them. But just like we look at wartime stocks during a war, think about those mining companies and what their numbers and charts will be doing in the very near future, if not already. So here's a few I've been looking for. And again, not investment advice, just something to keep an eye on. So let's look at, first, we're going to look at Newmont Corporation. Now, Newmont Corporation, they manage operations across North America, South America, Australia, and Africa. And their Boddington mine, I believe, is still Australia's largest gold producer. Next, let's look at Barrick Gold Corporation, ticker GOLD. Now, these guys are currently range bound, as you can see, between $14 and then went as high as almost $19, making this a really good value buy. But it has a huge market cap and their fundamentals really look promising. Next, let's look at AEM, and that's Agnico Eagle Mines. And these guys are out of Canada, and they have been producing gold since 1957. It's one of Canada's largest active gold mines. Their chart looks amazing. And with our longevity and strength, it's really something that you just do not want to ignore. And then lastly is FCX. These guys are Freeport McMoran Incorporated out of Phoenix, Arizona. And these guys also have a huge market cap and mine a lot more than gold. They're an international mining company with solid operations and production numbers, all while having the technicals, nothing to sneeze at. So all in all, it's just a reminder to look at all aspects of the stock whenever you're looking at good assets to trade. There's no shortage of opportunities in the market. Now, I know the market's a little weird right now, and a lot of information and a lot of the numbers really seem contradictory. But even with all the insanity, remember to stick with the trend while trying to get the bulk of the move. You're not always going to get the extreme lows and the extreme highs. Yes, it can turn at any time. So keep learning how to trade to the downside as well, and how to trade range-bound charts too, all without ignoring the structure as well as support and resistance levels. I see light bulbs turning on in your eyes every week in our sessions. So with all this information, remember, we're traders. While we're forecasting the market to see what we'd like to invest in, if at all, as traders, it's important to be sure you're reacting appropriately to what's happening in the market. So as I said, there's no shortage of opportunities in the market, but you must stay realistic. So, in shooting sports, we talk about the responsibility with firearms and your responsibility. What can you do with what you have available to you at that very moment? And that being said, in the market, it's very important that you're responsible and mitigate your risk. But you must also realize your responsibility to handle what the market dishes out. Not only financially by controlling resources in your portfolio, but also how educated you are to handle what happens. And lastly, your ability to manage you and your emotional reactions to everything that happens. Practice, repetition, and sticking with your Ghost Trades community can do wonders to help you get you there. And with that, Ghost Traders, this Memorial Day, we honor the fallen who paid the ultimate price to protect and preserve our American way of life. We pray for their loved ones left behind, and we pray for our country, that we would all honor their sacrifice. Have an amazing weekend, and I'll see all of you in our live sessions. And until then, happy trading.